Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Arwin, trying to get in on the introduction, of course. 10th Man, Neil, Refracted Curvature, Chocolate Saiyan, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
It's about freaking time. Holy
Good
shoot.
afternoon.
Is your introduction taking longer these days?
Time, it's exactly 2 minutes past. It's about a 60-second introduction, 60 seconds worth of music. What do you want?
We had 3 conversations while you were doing that.
The natives are restless, and you're taking your time about it.
I don't know, you're having conversations. I don't mute my line, so you'll have to talk through me while I'm doing the intro.
Just start the hunt. We're
Start the
ready
hump?
to go.
What? Start the
That's what we do. We talk right through you. It's hard, but we do it.
Oh, you manage it during the live show too, Neil.
Got him.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Yeah, Neil. I'm sorry. No.
Physical. We've been told there's no geometry behind this physical thing that you're talking about. As a matter of fact, we're told we don't see it anymore, or could never see it. Why would we expect to see it?
Yeah, let's get a few quotes. Nobody's
The
expecting
horizon
to see.
seems to be dependent on its
My bad,
apparent location. Well, based on the conditions of the air and our height of observation, that does not comport with the sightings that you would bump into with an actual geometry and a distance to that geometry.
Right, well, that's
Someone
what's asserted in the
define-
curve maths. It's asserted that we have physical geometry that we can see with boats falling over it, and that geometry is called Earth curve at the horizon, marked with an X, labelled horizon in their maths. That's their physical geometry. Earth curve, boats falling over it, but buildings blocked by it. You know the score if you're a glober. Yet, meanwhile, quote, plan a walk, nobody's claiming we'll see physical geometry. Or
Someone
AB
defines
science.
The sea
Second time you've
horizon
interrupted
first.
these quotes.
What is a horizon?
I give up on the quotes.
Hello.
Yes, we're being told that we don't see physical geometry because we've pointed out that it can't be physical geometry.
Well, I know, but before we go there, can someone please define what the sea horizon is?
The horizon's the arbitrary position where the sky or meets the land or sea.
Okay. And what does sea level mean?
The level that the sea is at
And what is that?
depends on the time. I don't
How
know.
about
I'm not
from
near the
shore?
sea.
How
I'm in
about
the
from
middle of the
shore?
land. I don't know. You want me to get my...
I'm leading you. Hang on. Just play along. So at shore, when you want to do a measurement, what do you use as your baseline zero?
The horizon.
Sea level.
Okay.
See, the mountain is how high above what?
Sea level.
Sea level. All the heights of all the elevation, everything of anything is anything above sea level. So how do they treat a 20-foot building? 20 foot from what?
Your baseline.
Thank you. So sea level is your baseline. And because of the impossibility for us to see forever, the horizon, the demarcation, is where the sky seems to meet that baseline, sea level. And everything's measured from sea level, either below sea level or above sea level. So sea level is zero. Sea level is the equator on their globe. Sea level is the plane.
Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Commentary.
Nah, I mean, you don't really need that. Most globe believers don't even know anything about that. So if you'd ask them, they're just like, what is this mumbo jumbo you're talking about? I mean, all we need is an orthographic view of a globe, then drawing a circle around it, and that is the preponderance that everything proves the Earth is a globe.
But how'd you
Like
get the
the
angle?
video I just linked to.
How'd you get the angle, though? The surface is curving. You've just had a description of what sea level is.
Yeah, but you don't have to understand that to know the Earth is a globe, Nathan.
Yeah, I'm not asking to understand the Earth. I'm asking to understand an angle and how you get it. If you haven't got a straight line, you've got a curved surface. Moving on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
I wouldn't expect to see any deviation because your reference frames are ruined.
We're moving? Really?
Well, Neil, we're allowing them to assume that it's a sphere and that it's spinning in this example, just so that we can destroy them with their faulty use of logic.
Just by saying axial rotation, right? Because for it to have an axial rotation, it would have to be, you would need axis and a radial value.
That's correct.
Any evidence of the Earth radius, i.e. the R value required to assume a radius to give you a rotation value?
Uh-oh. Any Globers want to answer any of these questions? Anybody want to tell us about this ball?
There's
There's
two
no
celestial
Pacific.
poles. There's two celestial poles. That's proof of a radius.
Sorry, two celestial poles assumes the outcome that you're trying to prove if you state that they're celestial poles, i.e. at the ends of an axis.
But they're still using a flat plane in that assertion as well. So I'll let them slide on that.
Saying that when
If
they
there
take
were two
elevation angles to the stars and assert by way of begging the question fallacy that they're antipodal positioned stars, or your sky is antipodal, you're saying that when they measure the angles, they still need a flat plane to measure the angles, right?
Right. Well, in the celestial sphere model, which is a flat plane model, is where they're getting the idea of antipodal star rotation. So they need a flat plane for that claim.
How do they get the idea
John.
of... Oh, no, I'm not following. If you've got the celestial sphere model, that's a flat plane with the dome of the heavens, if you will, above a given section. So obviously you're only going to have a hemisphere because that's your view to the horizon at 0 to 180 on a flat plane, like a protractor, like a semicircle protractor. Okay, so if you're using a flat plane and looking at the stars, how do you say that that's what they use to make an assumption of antipodal positioning? That doesn't follow at all.
Yeah, well, what they do is they complete the sphere. That's why they have the celestial sphere, right? And it's bisected by the flat plane. That they take the two hemispheres and just glue them together in their minds and conceptually draw that out as such.
Hold on. But both of them, okay. So conceptually, you can take one map that's conceptually depicted with the actualization ignored of a perspective view of the sky, turn it into a semicircle that you measure with the protractor as they move from your position over the land, and then glue it upside down on the bottom of a flat plane. So you've got two flat planes stuck antipodal to one another.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I'm holding my face here in disbelief, because surely it goes through the Haversine formula first, transposes it up onto a secondary inner concave sphere to have the assumption that you're moving around that map to later say that you're on the outside of it. But you're saying that they go straight from sticking to semi-spheres, is that the right word, on top of each other when you're talking about the view of the sky. Suddenly the view of what we now call the southern hemisphere, in air quotes, is actually just a flat plane stuck to the bottom of the northern hemisphere on a flat map. I'm lost for words.
Well, see, the Haversine formula is when you want to take and change that flat plane into a ball and then place it spinning around the sun or however you want to conceptualize it after that. That's separate from the celestial sphere.
So in the raw form of the celestial sphere is literally north and south quote-unquote hemispheres stuck on top of each other, antipodal, so that the two maps still work flat. It's just you've got to imagine that you've gone over the lip of the edge if you reify the model, and then you're underneath and you flip it all the way over, and then the stuff that was antipode from your position is just the northern hemisphere stuck to the bottom on a wafer thin disk. That's nuts.
Yeah, and well, yeah, that's just how they do it. And then they, instead of the sky turning over top of you, they imagine that the plane is actually shifting out of phase until it reaches that antipodal position.
Hold on. Shifting out of phase. What? Out of phase. Hold on. Out of phase to me means if I've got a wavelength that starts on a positive incline. So if you've got three lines and you're starting at the middle line, and the lines run horizontally, right, and you're going to draw a wave, and it's going to start in the middle line, go up to the top line, and then down to the middle, and then through the middle down to the bottom line, and then up again. And that's one complete wave, okay? But if I start that same point, and instead of going up to the top line and then down, I go down to the bottom line and then up, right? That is out of phase with the original wave. That's what out of phase means. Now, in very literal diagrammatical terminology, when you looked at that in depictorial terms, you'd have a peak on top of a valley, and they are completely 100% antipode to one another. So in terminological terms, well, a mouthful. Yeah, that's accurate, because what they're physically and literally doing in the model is just sandwiching the bottom half of the quote-unquote southern hemisphere underneath the northern. So yeah, okay, it's out of phase, but that's just bollocks. You know, it might meet the description, but it's still beggars belief. I can't quite believe what I'm hearing, to be honest. The terminology just makes it worse.
For terminological?
The terminology just makes it worse, regardless of my terrible grammar.
Well, see, yeah, that's the thing. If you're 1 degree out of phase with a plane, right, and you're on the plane.
Just stop, right? You cannot be out of phase in physical terms, right? It's like an electrical term. What do you mean out of phase? I'm not going to be out of phase with myself. What are you talking about?
I've been out of phase a few times.
That's what I was getting ready to say, is you can't take a plane out of phase.
No, you can't. This is nonsense. I mean, I understand how you can glue the bottom half of a map or model underneath it just for ease. And then it becomes the ball of the heavens wrapped around two flat planes, one on top of the other, antipode. But it's just silly. Now, if that is the root origins to then have the Haversine formula applied to that, I mean, this is brilliant. However, if this is just a different way of looking at it with the isolation of the celestial sphere model prior to or exclusive of any reification into a globe, then fine. But if it is part of the process, this is great. I don't know, you tell me. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Well, that's how they think about it from Earth. Now, if they're wanting to think about it like they're floating in space, they'll apply the Haversine formula so they can give you the top-down view of the ball and the circles or the cones of unequal altitudes, whatever they want to call them, when they draw circles on balls and then say the radiuses are bent. You know, that's when they'll have applied the Haversine formula, right? But prior to that, it's just the celestial sphere with a flat plane bisecting it.
Okay. Needs a bit more investigation. It'd be interesting to see where the transition is utilised, because obviously we're only just seeing the Haversine formula come to light. I was going to ask you about this in the pre-show, actually, John, because you chatted with Glober, I don't know if it's plural, but, you know, at least one, about this. How do you square that circle in your... I'm asking you to speak on someone's behalf, I know that phrase. Let's just think of a rewording of that question. Why would you imagine they don't freak out when they come to that formula, because doesn't it just jump off the page for what it is? The conversion from flat to globe, does it jumps off the page to you? But I'm just surprised that when it's phrased as though it's a defense, or an argument for the globe, I'm a bit lost in how that works in a glober's mind, really.
Now you sound like me.
I think what in their minds they're seeing is, well, if I can mathematically derive the globe from this, then it's a globe. Forgetting that.
Just careful with your words. From this, what's this? This flat plane.
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah, from the flat plane. They want to forget this flat plane that they used to get it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I'm saying, given that what the Haversine formula does is convert mathematically the flat plane you're measuring to a globe, wouldn't that... You're saying, well, because they've got a conversion to do that from a flat plane that you're measuring to a globe, then it makes it a globe. But that I can't square that logic, and I don't see how anyone else can. I
can explain. It's happening all the time. What do you think Al-Biruni did, supposedly? What do you think Eratosthenes did, supposedly?
No, these might not be real people. I can't ask them.
Let me finish.
I can't ask them.
Let me finish. They assume first. Then they have to make that assumption validate out of either experiment or whatever. They realize they can't, so it only works in the maths. That's why the globe Earth only works in the maths.
Yeah, but you're not hearing what Nathan's saying then.
I am hearing exactly what Nathan is saying. When you
hold on, don't argue about what I'm saying. Just let Neil paraphrase what he thinks I'm saying. Go ahead, Neil.
Well, it all has. How can you from a flat plane go to math and think you could turn it into a sphere without it opening up your eyes and realizing that, oh my God, what am I doing here? This is flat.
I'm trying to explain that to you. They assume it's a globe, then they have to go and prove it. Then they say, well,
but it's flat first.
I'm in the middle of.
Is it? I understand your exasperation in this instance. I'm sorry, Tenth, but I do empathise with Neil. Carry on.
I'm sorry.
They assume the Earth is a ball, a globe, a sphere. Then they assume sunlight comes in parallel. Then they assume that the measurement's coming from a flat plane, but it's the equatorial plane, the center origin of a circle. And they reify that into a sphere. So they live happily ever after mathematically, but not in reality.
But that's like saying I've got a Friera, and if I can make the numbers match a Ferrari, so if the Ferrari I'm trying to compete with, or replicate with my Friera, has got 500 horsepower, then if I stare deep within the engine of my Fiera and add a turbo and a lot of time, then I can make the same numbers, or the numbers will work. On paper, it'll have the same numbers as a Ferrari. Therefore, in my mind, because this Fiera, doesn't matter where I do this analogy, it always is going to be so long as I assume that the Fiera is a Ferrari at the outset, because you're saying, well, they assume the sphere in the first outset. Okay, but they're going to be dealing with a Fiera. So, right, yeah. That's what they're going to be working on.
Go to Master B, pull up the
can anyone see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
no amount of begging the question or delusion changes the fact that you're working on a specific thing. You're working on a flat plane. You're working on a Fiera. You're wrenching on a Friera. It doesn't matter that the numbers are going to match up at the end.
It's still flat.
Fine.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. Go to Master B, show the slide.
Okie doke.
Okay. Summary of dip angles for various heights of observation above sea level. Top right illustration that's got a box around it. Height of eye, meters or feet. Dip angle, 0 meters, 0 feet. Dip angle, 0.0. Huh. Wow, this looks flat to me. Middle picture. Figure 2.7, the Nautical Almanac and the site reduction tables assume the sites are taken at sea level. Huh. I thought it came from the rational horizon. I thought all the nautical almanacs were going to be from the center of Earth, where you cut it in half and have a plane. Let me read that again. The nautical almanac and the site reduction tables assume that the sites are taken at sea level. For instance, from a periscope of a submarine barely emerging above the water. Oh, that's the dip correction. Bring your eye to the water. Let's go up to the box above it. Height of eye, 0 meters, 0 feet, 0.0. Yeah, no dip necessary when your eye is on the water. Sea level. Last picture, bottom right. Oh, listen, we know we're screwed, but let's just draw a circle underneath everything and they'll believe us. End of trick.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, it worked.
I get that, but if this was put in front of the people that I'm asking John about in this instance, right? There's a couple of issues with the bottom diagram. This observer's horizon, yeah, with the dip to the geometric physical limitation called Earth curve. Well, that's a straight line. You said earlier that they would claim that light comes in parallel. Again, straight lines. They don't have these anymore. So the people that are
Agreed.
appealing to Haversine's formula are utilizing debunked geometry. Well, after they assume that the Earth's a sphere, I'll just drop that in first. After they assume that the Fiera is a Ferrari and that they're going to be working on a Ferrari, and when it turns up as a Fiera, they assume that within the heart of that Fiera is the Ferrari's numbers, right? So they go to the wrenches and they go, right, we're going to use these bent wrenches because we bent them all. Right, but none of them will work to turn the nuts anymore. Yeah, I know that, but we're going to use them anyway. But they won't work. They bent. You bent them. You bent the wrenches. Well, that's like them bending this line. So if they're going to claim this geometric horizon, hey, Rufy, this is you. How's that geometric horizon working out for you? What's that infinite over our refraction? What? That's a lot of refraction. Always, you say, always. No one's claiming physical geometry, planar walk. Yeah, they haven't got a straight line. So when I'm asking, how do they square this circle when the Haversine formula tells them that they're going to be taking measurements from a flat plane, and their line that they can almost weasel the idea that the dip is coming from a geometric horizon with a straight line to it, they already know it's bent. So there's so many things that, to me, as a globe believer in 2022, stand in the way of your fundamentalist religious belief with, people like me laughing at you. That it doesn't compute anymore. I'm struggling to understand why they still believe this shit. Excuse my language.
I think I can answer that.
Go ahead, John.
I think it's compartmentalization. They never address the entirety of the facts and evidence. They take a specific part when you mention it, and they run that through how it could be a sphere if this and that. Right. And then they keep doing that with just each individual bit, and they only apply that logic to the individual part. Right. And they never apply it to anything else. So
I see.
The horizon's only.
Now I get it now. I understand. So what you're saying is light comes in parallel. Okay. So if the Earth's a sphere radius 3959, it's all bent. You just said it was all parallel. That's a different issue. That's what you're saying.
Yes, see, and Akuma Virus illustrated that well when he said that's a different argument.
I'd like to add to this. The Haversine formula is used from a projection, not from an elevation angle from a plane. It is shot out to the inner wall of a celestial sphere that's imaginary because of the way our eyes work. So they have this concave celestial sphere, and the inside all the stars are, and then from there it's reprojected on to Earth, which is a plane, but they create that arc and say that's what you live on, and it's between 2 points on a curved surface from a projection from the inside of a curved surface.
Hey,
It's not in the first step.
As we're on the subject, and Brian's just joined in. Great video on the horizon, Brian. And Brian's just released a video. Typically I don't watch, but I don't know what it was about the title in this one that made me sit down and watch it, but I did. And in this instance, brilliant job, because Brian's just highlighting the double-speak contradiction that they have in regards to a bent line, geometric, non-geometric horizon, as we're detailing that exact contradiction. Let's welcome Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hey Nathan, thanks for that. Actually, the video is getting a lot more compliments than I expected. Consider it so simple.
Why?
Well, when you-
It's ace.
When you break down some of the more complicated subjects, for instance, dip angle correction, right? You give a very good, concise breakdown of both sides of the argument, how one works and how one doesn't work. In the case of dip angle, that could take 25 minutes. You know that, right? This didn't.
Yeah.
Highlighting their contradiction in regards to the geometric horizon did not take that long.
No, it was just showing what happens, because we always have to see every diagram in orthographic view. Whereas this is something I could do in what would be perspective view. And it's exactly like we see in reality. So I actually have a lot of hate even in the comments, and people trying to rework globers and people, our opposition, anti-flat earthers, trying to rework what was really happening there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can't rework what it is. It is what it is. They want to start asking me about, can you see Polaris from past the equator? Stupid stuff like that. Because they can't get away from reality. They have to somehow hijack reality. And they don't know how they can hijack just that. How do you hijack just that for the globe? How do you do that?
Yeah, they can't.
Probably...
Go on,
I was just gonna say, sorry. That's probably the most important aspect, right? How you differentiate between their orthographic view that they show us all the time, and an actual perspective view, which we actually have. And like we said, they always show us things in orthographic view, which again we'll never have. But the reality, the perspective, how we see, they don't ever show you that. They want you to not pay attention to any of that.
They can't show you that.
Even their orthographic view is based in planar geometry.
Yeah, it is.
And it requires straight lines. After the assumption of a sphere Earth, you still need tangent points to make the assertion. Shout out to the 100 people watching. Woo-hoo-hoo! Please share the show if you've not done so already. Massive thank you to all of you who smashed that share button up to now. Typically the people who watch the show regularly, but thank you very much indeed. That's the reason we've got over 100 people watching, so really appreciate the support. Smash the share button, smash the like button, all that good stuff.
Should be thousands.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well, my son said that's a fact. That it's 93 million miles away.
That's based on a Christian Huygens assumption of Venus having the same radius value as Earth after you assume Earth has the same radius value measured by way of a geometric horizon debunked by the Black Swan that Al-Biruni utilised after measuring Earth flat. Or Sticks and Shadows that used the flat Earth also. Go ahead, Chocolate, sorry.
I was just going to say, I actually had a little giggle when he said that. My son said, that's a fact. Oh, yeah? That's actually funny to me now.
Yeah, scientifically validated, too.
Oh, shit.
Which bit's scientifically validated? It's Kepler's third law. That's not science. Even the name suggests that it's, and law of nature? No, it isn't. It's a scaling mathematical value that you can apply, but you can't give it actual distances until you know one of the values. Hence the assumption that Venus has the same radius value as Earth, so that you can apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, and that gives you the scaling values, and then you get the distance with that assumption. But 93 million miles is is based purely on that assumption. That's why we call Venus Earth's twin in the heliocentric model.
Well, the stars were mapped out millions of years ago, thousands of years ago. You're listening to a bunch of YouTubers. That's what I got.
What, by astrology?
Yeah.
By astrology. So if you want to go back and say that people who figured out the patterns of the stars, well, that was the astrologers. Now demonized as Mystic Meg. And you will see a tall, dark stranger in your future. I don't know why that's become a vampire. It's supposed to be Mystic Meg. Shout out to Mike.
I don't know what's bothering you.
Shout out to Mike 808 for hitting the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I don't know what's bothering your son more, that you're listening to YouTubers, or he can't win you over when arguing with YouTubers.
Oh, the thing is, there's no argument anymore. I think he realizes that, but he can't handle it. He's in pain, scared.
Yeah, there isn't an
The-
argument
the-
anymore. You're absolutely right. That's where it's got to, which is quite a comfortable position to be in from our perspective. I mean, it doesn't change the levels of ridicule that we receive, but it does alter the I don't want to say determination that we have. I don't know if it necessarily does affect that, but a comfort level is the only thing I can think of. Knowing full well that no, it's absolutely applied throughout many different genres of life. So life is flat. That's how it is. It doesn't really matter about what anybody says or thinks anymore.
Agreed.
I was listening to you there a few minutes ago talking about the Haversine formula, and just before that, you were talking about how they keep holding on to the globe. Well, how they actually keep holding on to the globe, and I'm having an extremely difficult time to get people on our side to realize this and realize the argument is that they have to believe that they can get their correct latitude using the geometric horizon of the globe and Polaris, north of the equator line. They have to believe that that is a possibility. And not one of them will answer the question honestly, can I get my correct latitude using the sea horizon, which they claim to be a refracted position, and Polaris at sea with a marine sextant?
No, they
want to
can't.
say,
No.
But I just, yeah, they can't. But see, there's no, but they can't. Now, see, this is the thing. No, what you said is actually slightly wrong. This is the thing. They want to talk about, you can get your correct latitude, you don't need the horizon. That's what they want to say to me first, right? So I have to specify, no, I specified at sea with a marine sextant north of the equator via Polaris, right? And the sea horizon. The point being is that you can get your correct latitude using the real world sea horizon, a place they say is refracted, which means that their globe is bigger, is refracted in size, it is refracted at a rate of at least 7/6 constantly, right? Because they have to have it like that, and they extend that when it comes to things like the Black Swan to having a radius that's 250,000 miles, statute miles in length. Because they have to believe that they can get you're getting your correct latitude from a globe. Every classroom globe, every antique shop globe, they all have the latitudes on them. Where did they get those latitudes? Because we're using what they claim to be a refracted position to get the latitudes, but we get our correct latitude from that refracted position.
No, but that's what I mean.
No,
they can't, because of what you've prefaced it with in your description, and I know what's coming. You can't. The horizon needs to be used to establish your horizontal to measure an angle. That's what it's being used for. Now, if it's a refracted horizon, it's a bent line. It's ludicrous, right? They need a straight line. They'll draw a straight line. They'll calculate with a straight line. It's just they've relinquished their straight line. That's their tangent. Back in 2020, nobody's claiming physical geometry. Nobody's claiming we'll see physical geometry, planar walk. Nobody's claiming the horizon's Earth curve. What, with a tangent point to it? Yeah, Rufy's doing it. That's why I embarrass him on a daily basis, asking how his geometric horizon's working out for him. Because he hasn't got one. Infinite over-hour refraction versus standard every single day because there's never no atmosphere in your model. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, would the modus tollens bother them more if it was stated if the horizon is a tangent point, then its distance can be no further than 1.22
Oh, I
times
love
the
it. Oh, I love it just for Rufy. You rattle it off. I cut you off. This is just for you, Rufy, with your geometric tangent point for dip. If the horizon is your tangent point, then every distance to that tangent point can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the distance to your tangent point is beyond those geometric limitations you need it to be a tangent point. And it's not. Bye-bye globe geometry. Like we said in 2020, when you told us it was bent. Bye-bye geometry. Globe's dead.
I think though that my point is being missed a little bit. If you go back to the slide you just had on a second ago, it shows that it shows all the shadows working because of parallel light rays on our model, right? It doesn't matter about, within my argument, I know that technically that the refracted means that there's going to be a bent tangent, right? That doesn't work. But the point I'm making is their 7/6R makes their radius 4,618.83 statute miles, as opposed to 3,959. When they show all the observations to Polaris, orthographically, right, within their model, as someone moves from the GP point of Polaris down to their equator, they end up meeting all those points along that, where all the latitudes are. They are all able to account for what the latitude would be. That would be the correct latitude, as the curve of the globe Earth would be just getting in the way, just enough for to get them, let's just say, just the angle between, not that they can, I know they can't have an angle on a curved surface, but the point is that the globe Earth, for the correct latitudes to work, to get your latitude at all, for latitudes to even exist on a globe Earth, then it has to be a 3959 radius. When they're using a refracted horizon and getting the correct latitude, it makes the globe, right, have a radius of 4,618 miles.
No, I definitely haven't missed your point. I totally get it. What you're saying is, in order for the maths to square, they have to have the geometric value be applied. That's how the maths works out, because it's a back calculation based on the angles, not based on refracted horizons or refracted terrestrial atmospheric-based refraction, nothing like that. It's just based on the pure maths and what they derived when they measured angles to stars. So when they back calculate it into claim to be physical geometry based on those angles to stars and bending the surface based on the protractor being the surface, you end up with the pure geometric measurements being the only ones that can be applied. Hence Ruhif having to apply them. Well, he hasn't got them. And what you're saying is, if you're going to be using your horizon on a globe in Atmo Day, then it's never going to match the pure geometry mathematics. It can't, it won't, it doesn't. You're screwed, all of you. Further to that, if you're going to claim you've got parallel light rays coming in, and you're going to simultaneously tell us that they're bent at the rate of the atmospheric refraction, 7/6 of the radius, these two things don't work. They are in stark contrast with one another. Again, you are completely screwed. But Brian's overall point is to say that if you're going to apply mathematical values to navigation, you're going to want to be getting it absolutely correct. And the only way you can apply a conversion and have the maths even remotely look correct is if you apply them in the pure geometry. Not with refraction, the thing you've been barking at us that we must abide by for 2 straight years. Yeah, that means you're screwed now, like we told you in 2020. Then you haven't got the geometry and it must be applied in this instance. That's Brian's point.
Could I?
Exactly. Go on, John.
I was going to say, I'll give you the compartmentalized rebuttal to that, which, it'll fall apart upon deeper investigation. But
lay it on me. Let's have it thick and fast.
All right, here it is. Well, when you talk about the actual distances, we're not talking about refraction. So we're changing the apparent size of Earth, not the actual size.
Refraction as hold on, that's not going to be their rebuttal. I'll tell you why. Because when they talk, I know that we appreciate that all 7/6 of the radius does, 7/6R, that's terrestrial refraction. What they call refraction does is increases the overall size of Earth, right? We know that, but they're never going to use that in a response, are they? To get away from the fact that it's actually not really refraction. Because that would be a blatant disclaimer if they ever said that. So no, that is definitely not what they'll do, John.
No, that is what they do. They say it's optical, that it's not actual.
Yeah, but John, it doesn't matter, because the point is, see, what you just said there is not that. If a Glover said that to me, it means that they're not understanding. They're just looking for a way around what I'm saying without understanding what I'm saying.
I take it back. That's definitely what I'll do then, John, based on what Brian just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means they won't. It means they don't understand. The angle is between a refracted. Now, besides the fact you can't have an angle on a curved surface, the point is.
I just want to point
angle-
out, Brian. Sorry to interrupt. Brian's now going to explain what we explained in 2020 to you idiots who believe in a globe. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what's happening. The angle will be between a refracted horizon and Polaris.
Just going to stop you right there, Brian. Sorry, you can't get an angle from a refracted horizon because that would mean that the line to it's bent and angles are two straight lines.
Yes, but okay, I'll do it, Bobby. I didn't start that correctly. The angle will be between the reality C horizon and Polaris. We will be taking an angle in reality between that C horizon and Polaris, and then we will do height-to-height correction to bring the eye line down in a horizontal line with the horizon. And that will give us our exact latitude north of the equator at sea with a marine sextant.
I see.
They have to claim, and that will give us not just our exact and correct latitude. That's why I keep saying correct latitude. So when they claim that horizon that we're using in reality to get our correct latitude is refracted, it completely destroys their whole heliocentric model.
That's
Because
right.
the whole heliocentric model started with their supposed globe's geometric horizon being the horizon used to get your correct latitude.
Yeah, just like we told them in 2020.
So let me get this straight, Brian. What you're saying is like that picture that what do we call it again? Oh, the black swan, where the horizon is supposed to be no more than 1.22 miles away from a 1 foot observer height, but apparently the response that we've gotten all this time is that horizon that's pretty much further than, I guess we could clearly see 10 miles away at the least, that's refracted. So you're saying that they can't get their latitude from a refracted horizon that's supposed to be at 1.2 miles away?
No, not exactly.
No.
What Brian's saying is, so I'm sorry to
I'll make it
paraphrase
simple.
for you, Brian. I'm really sorry because I want to get this in with a quote. So, in order for the maths to match chocolate, they must be utilising the geometric horizon for the numbers to work. So, in other words, when they look at the horizon, Brian's saying you're out at sea, you're looking at the horizon, right? That must be a globe geometric horizon if the maths are going to work. And I quote AB Science, "We are not going to see the geometric horizon." End quote. Now, given that we are not going to see the absolutely essential and required for the maths to work geometric horizon, they are, quote, screwed.
That's correct. They hung themselves.
I'll make it even better, because this is something I said within one of my recent videos. Chocolate. The horizon we see in the Black Swan photos, right? Let's just, even the newest one from BLMSB 69, where he's seen an horizon 31 miles away from a 1.5 foot observer height. Even that one, if you can see Polaris over that and you're at sea, then you can get your correct latitude using that horizon. Now, that's impossible. That's an impossibility if they're claiming, within their model, not in reality, within their model, they're claiming that's a refracted horizon, then that completely annihilates their model. Because me, you, Nathan, John, Neil, anyone here can get the correct latitude between that horizon and Polaris. Correct latitude. No mistake.
Wow, they're
At
done.
sea with a marine sextant. If that's refracted, if that's a refracted horizon, then it's impossible for them to ever get any, the globe can't exist. That's basically it. If the horizon is refracted, the globe can't exist. Because all the globe's mathematics are based off of the angle between their geometric horizon and Polaris, giving them latitude lines. you look at every single classroom globe or antique shop globe, they all have the latitude lines all going down along them. Where do they get them from? If the horizon is refracted and you're getting your correct latitude from that, that means you're correct. Basically, what they're stating is the correct latitude is coming from a refracted position. So there's no geometry then. Their geometry is out the window. There isn't anything. You can get your correct latitude from the black swan horizon any day of the week, proving that the horizon is just an optical location. Once again, proving it.
They're saying the most recent J. Tolan Media Black Swan is 30 plus miles away, and it's at 1 point. Did you say it was at 1.5 feet? Does that mean it's 1.22 times 1.22? So the horizon should be less than a mile and a half away.
Yeah, BLMSB 69. The most recent one, it was from a 1.5. I think he even brought it down to a 1 foot, and you could still see the horizon 31 miles away.
So it's between
and a Kappa Island.
So the globe Earth geometric physical limitation, the hill that should be in the way according to globe Earth claims, should be between a mile and a half away on those two elevations. So the horizon should be just about, let's say at the most 2 miles, at the absolute most. Well, then he's got it at 30 plus miles. This is just typical Black Swan stuff. They're getting more and more common.
I have loads of them.
Just one sec. Shout out Godzilla 37. It says, the flat Earth finally stood long enough for me to type this. What? The Earth finally stood still long enough for me to type this. Gotcha. Thought it would never stop spinning. Good morning. Thank you for the super chat, Godzilla. Really appreciate the support. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead. Hope I haven't disturbed your flow too much.
No. Sorry, I stepped in on the super chat. No, it means that according to Ruhif and all the rest of them, the horizon is 29 miles past over 29 miles past where it can be geometrically on a globe. And that's even including their 7/6R.
So when they're navigating and they require their geometric values to match with their geometric mathematics that they're assuming by way of all wangling in dip correction, then again, they're just showing again and again and again that they're screwed. Again, this comes back to how can they possibly believe this? If you've got the Haversine formula showing how you're converting a flat plane, and the math's never stacking up unless you've got a physical hill in the way, which we haven't. How do you square that circle as a globe believing Muppet? I just don't get it. I've got to be honest. It's just baffling to me, and it's just one of those little follies. My intrigue it's not really that important, but it's just like Neil. You kind of ejaculate into a conversation about it because you go, well, why the hell would you still believe this nonsense? Globe's nonsense. It's silly.
Well, John is right when he says compartmentalization, because that's what has to go on with them. They have to compartmentalize.
Hold on a second.
Compartmentalization. Compartmentalize. Yeah, they have to compartmentalize it.
Yeah, but hold on. John faced the same thing, but when John saw that Earth could not be measured, he turned. There's no excuse. They're religiotards. When you fight this hard, you're fighting for a religion.
John has intellectual honesty and integrity.
That's true.
They don't.
There you go. Because they're religious.
Or a desire to compartmentalize it. Like you say, when you gave the example with virus, he saw it as a different argument. Well, obviously, if I'm arguing for eclipses and I need to claim that light's going to converge and diverge and, that's how the eclipses work on a globe, then that's so be it. Okay, but what about when you describe the light coming in parallel? Well, that's a different argument. The light comes in parallel when I need it to come in parallel to explain shadows. Okay, so the light's coming in parallel. Yeah, definitely. Always parallel, without exception. Okay, so why is this horizon beyond the limitations of your geometry then? Well, because the light's bending. So it's bending. Yeah, so the horizon's not where it's supposed to be because the light bent into your eye. Well, how do you get the maths of celestial navigation to work? If the light's bending and you haven't got a geometric horizon, then your maths don't work on a globe. Well, because in that instance, it's just optical. How do these people live without being in tremendous mental pain?
Well, you mean optical, like what we've been saying in the first place. Like what?
What, like not geometric?
Yeah.
I cornered Sean Hawkins with that question there last night because he had avoided it. The question about the correct latitude using what he would claim to be a refracted horizon. And he tried to say, this is what he tried to claim. Oh, they always add in, refraction is added in with the dip correction and all this other nonsense he started coming in, right? There's no 7/6R anywhere in the nautical almanacs. No corrections for 7/6R.
He's not a good example. No, you can't use Sean Hawkins. He'll just lie his way out of these sort of problems. Oh, well, they used refraction in the dip correction. No, they don't, you bloody liar. Just lie his way out of it. It's not a good example. Or maybe he's the perfect example.
Yeah, that's my point. He's perfect for it, because that is what they're going to say. They're going to start wanting to have a talk about whether they use refraction or not within the dip correction, within celestial navigation. And you end up having to then explain, no, that doesn't, there's no dip correction for us. There's no 7/6R added anywhere else. And there isn't 7/6R referenced anywhere in the nautical almanacs. The correction is only below 20 degrees. It's celestial refraction, not a refraction could do with the horizon or anything like that. And that's the thing. And so I pulled them on. I was like, no, you're not hijacking reality here, because that's what they do. They're little reality hijackers. You're not hijacking reality. You're not getting away with it. Answer the question. Answer the question. And he did what the rest of them did. He wanted to talk about everything but answer the question.
Yeah, Brian. Don't step in on my super chat, says Godzilla37 from the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much, Godzilla37.
Brian, if you go to Gem Pandas right now, all of them, there's probably about 50 of them that don't listen to a word or ignore everything that's being said here.
Okay, that's nice.
Let them. Who cares?
But they're not a good example. That's kind of a contradiction in terms, right? So you're saying that they don't listen to us. What, they consciously don't listen? No. Somebody in Tahiti having a massage, they're not listening to me, right? There's a big distinction between that. No, we're gonna tell you we're not listening. What? That's like the disruptive kid in the class. He's still in the class.
Well, they're refusing to comprehend it because it's very, very painful.
There you go. There it is. Refusing to comprehend it. That's different. Not listening. Oh, right. So you've got your fingers in the ears and you're going, la, 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 la. No, the horizon's Earth curve. La, 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 la. Housekeeping questions are stupid. Okay. Well, good for you. Have a nice life.
Well, they shouldn't ignore the elevation angle question. That's how they built their globe. I mean, you'd think they would.
I knew you were coming with that.
Let's do a bit more housekeeping. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oh, that was brought up at the table. Oh, that was definitely brought up at the table at my sister-in-law's house yesterday. Gravity.
What's that?
You don't hear much about that these days.
Well, I explained the relative density to them. They can understand that. I said, if Newton's tree was in the water, the apple would not have hit him in the head. It would have floated up and hit him in the balls.
Yeah, so Italian. Relative disequilibrium described by a tree floating up from a flooded lake to hit you in the balls.
I got that from Anthony.
From Anthony?
Not the hitting the balls part.
That sounds like something Anthony would say, all right.
No,
Not hitting him in the balls, but
that's
the tree.
definitely very Italian.
Tree. I dropped my phone and I said, you see, my phone is too heavy for the air. It's all medium based.
And then I dropped my helium balloon. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, and I tell you, Paula put something in, I think it was the War Room the other night, and I looked at it. It was last night. And there was something to do with some kind of scientific nonsense from astrophysics about, I don't know, black holes or whatever nonsense. And in the comments was very interesting. He had a load of people saying, this is a load of nonsense. I mean, I would say 80% of the comments were laughing at it and saying this is nonsense. And 10% of the comments were like, I don't know about all this. And then there was 10% of the comments who were agreeable. That's a sign of the times. And that's what she said. She said, the comments section is interesting.
This is from a video that isn't hers.
It was an article of some kind, I think. It was an article of some kind where there was all this nonsense being claimed. It's astrophysics nonsense. And the comment section, and I'm not saying they were all flat earthers, but just the comment section was just like people saying, this is rubbish. Like, you know what I mean? They were pulling it apart. They were making a joke out of it. Like it was like this same article 7-8 years ago, people would have been applauding it. So it was interesting.
Maybe the tides are turning. I mean, who's it going to please, though? Who's it going to serve? If everyone woke up tomorrow and is a flat earther because the government told you that it was, would it serve our ends? What are our ends in that regard? Other than keeping Neil happy. I mean, what would it really serve? What I mean by that, Brian, is as a result of you reading those articles, that obviously makes you appreciate that a lot more people realise the nonsensical nature of gravity because they're happy to criticise it in the comments below some article. Does that improve things? I mean, I'm being very sceptical, aren't I?
So, some people are waiting for that, though. Remember Don? He came here and literally said that. Like, I'm waiting, like, I'll be waiting for the news to say that, to tell me that.
Yep.
I don't need you guys. When it's consensus, then it'll make sense to me, and I'll accept it. Until then, I'm not accepting shit.
Isn't that the God argument? When they say, well, it's God, you know, it's the same thing. It's just they have a different God than what the other person does.
What, the Big Bang? I just want to ask the opinion of the guys in Discord. I've taken a whole bunch of you off mute, just because it's been the general topic of today's show. Are any of you on the fence or waiting to be a bit more vocal publicly, even if you are genuinely a flat earther, for that newsreel to roll, or for that general consensus view to be very much the prevalent worldview before you'll disseminate that information to people around you? Or what's the score? Any of you on the fence or not vocal? Waiting to be vocal? Yes, Nathan, you really did pull this Discord.
So why would you have to be vocal if it comes on the news? Yeah, the news says it, so it's true.
I think that's a cop-out. I think that's something someone says to just to get past the point of concession.
Their fear.
Oh, in other words, oh, right, you've beaten me in this argument. I don't have a better one to confront you with, but I'm not going to concede. I'll say I'll concede when everybody else concedes.
Yeah, basically, it's appealing to authority, but it's when authority's using baseless assertions. So,
That's built to consensus, isn't it?
It's both, it can be either. But yeah, in this instance, if the authority you're looking to is the word of the people, typically you'd call that an appeal to consensus. But it is also an appeal to authority just because the person we're talking to is not very bright. So his authority is anything anybody says that's not him.
So Nathan, I'm not waiting to be vocal. That's why I've started the YouTube channel. Plug it, The Hammer. Check it out.
Oh, okay.
Hammer.
Plug your channel.
Is it The Hammer or
What's your
The
channel
Hammer?
about? You feel free.
It's about the topic. It's a little more artistic view of the topic, a little more loose, but we're with the same ideals in mind that you hold as far as the scientific values.
Oh, cool. So it's a new endeavor on YouTube, right? And your channel's called Catchy ZZ Hammer.
Yeah, right now it's just called The Hammer.
Oh, The Hammer.
Probably going to be difficult. Yeah, it's probably going to be difficult for people to find because there's a lot of other stuff that blocks you from finding it. I could post like a link or something. Actually, if you type the title Sin, as in SIN and Don, and then The Hammer, all one word there, in YouTube, it should be the first result that comes up.
Post a link in Discord, and hopefully, if you can do it in the next 60 seconds, somebody can post it in the live chat. And hopefully,
Yeah, I'll grab it. Hold on.
Can somebody go to the Discord server and grab this link and stick it in the live chat? I'm looking at you, Arwin. You there, Arwin? If I don't get this admin sorted, you're not going to get your plug. Blame Arwin. You there, Arwin?
Yeah, it'll happen at some point.
You there,
And
Arwin? Hold on one sec.
Oh crap!
Just one sec. You there, Arwin?
Where is it? In the main chat? Where did you put it? Hammer? Where did you put
I
that?
haven't grabbed it. I haven't grabbed it yet. I apologize. I thought I had it. I gotta get it from YouTube itself. Hold on. I apologize.
All right.
That'll be the work of but a moment. You're going to post it in the main chat, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully Chocolate will get it to it. I don't mind keeping the live show a little bit longer. Just to give you a plug. Why not? I'm that kind of guy.
I know, you're so kind.
I am.
They say all these things about how rude you are. And how
it's not true what they say about me, eh?
Let me know when you post it, bro.
Speaking of that, somebody contacted me about, not exactly about the computer. Somebody said they needed a mic. And they're like, you've got a Yeti that you're giving away. Can you send it me? I'll pay for the postage. And I was like, just give me your address. I'll just post it to you. So if that person hasn't read their email, you know you are.
There's all the science guys going around recently in Discord saying that, saying some bad things about you.
That's okay. That's typical. I don't mind.
Bob the fallacy
doesn't
guy.
bother me in the slightest. In fact, couldn't care less. Saying bad
it's
things
up in
about
there,
me.
Chocolate. Sorry.
No.
What's he saying?
Sure.
Oh, don't
No,
ask.
my boy.
Let's
my
not
boy
lose this
No
plug.
Tank's
Hold on,
got it.
Chocolate. You on the case? Did he post it?
Yeah, my boy No Tank's got me at 1 after the hour there.
Okay. Can someone stick it in the live stream chat, and then I can round this show out and ask people to stay tuned if they're watching on an after show.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
We can now win. Hooray!
Quick.
I had to restart. So, what was the question?
There wasn't a specific question. We just needed a link to be sent from Discord to the live chat. I'm just waiting to see it pop up on the live chat, and when it does, I'll round out this show.
Oh, okay.
Or round out the live show, at least.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
See what we do for you, the hammer? We're with you. As long as you stay away from Ether.
There's no caveats. Do whatever you like.
Well,
don't care. Right, hopefully while Chocolate's digging out the link, I'm going to say with that, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, hit the thanks button after the fact, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!